Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you dropped by today. I'll be making a very classic Christmas card with a Jolly Santa image, and this is what it looks like. So to start with, I am using a Stampendous rubber stamp, and it is actually called Jolly Santa, and some Memento London Fog ink and gray. Now here's the details of the rubber stamp. It is a beautiful stamp. I'll also be using the Canson XL Bristol smooth paper, these papers for my card, a couple of embossing folders, one by Griffin and one by Darice, and then one die from this Sizzix set. So here is the stamped image in gray. He's just beautiful as is, but I will be using several types of markers to color in. Now I'll start slowly here, just going in and doing his face, and then I'm going to speed this up quite a bit for the rest of the coloring. Now, as you know, I am not committed to just one type of marker, so I use whatever I have on hand. This specific Copic marker here is a little bit on the dry side. So I have found that some of my less expensive brush markers, like from Marvy, seem to last a whole lot longer than the Copics. And it's not that I use this color of a peachy Copic all that much, it just seems to dry out so quickly. So I am working and working just to get this base layer down. Now, here I switch over to see if this other nib has a little more ink in it than the previous one, but it's still a little bit dry. Now, I will be moving on to blend with different shades for his skin tone. And what happens here is it looks a little alarming because it's so stark. But you have to consider that I have no other color on this image so far besides gray and white. So everything's going to look stark. And don't be upset about that. Just go back and layer and blend, layer and blend, and layer and blend. That is the whole secret to coloring in with markers. All right. So I'll go back and I'm going to add another shade. And at this point, it looks like Santa has stepped out of the tanning booth. But again, remember that this is going to look fairly stark when you have no other color on your image. So even if you don't like it, just keep moving through. I say all images go through an ugly duckling stage, so just stay with me because it does get better. All right. So I'll just keep moving along with all of this. Now his face is such an important feature. I want to make sure I have the shading right, and I want to concentrate on those crinkles in his eyes and all of that business. But what you'll see me do is hop back and forth here. As I let some sections dry, I'll move on to work on others and then come back and apply some finishing details. So it's a back and forth effort. Work on the face, then work on his hair and the fur, and then work on his hat, and then work on the holly, which gave me quite a bit of grief, that holly. You'd think that would be simple, but that turned out to be the biggest challenge for me on coloring this whole image. So what I will do is just turn on a little music for you, and I'll get back with you a little later in the card making process. Hang in there with me. This does come together, and it turns out to be a beautiful image. One of the details I like to use for highlights is a distress crayon, and I can simply apply that as a waxy-like little crayon, and you just use your finger to smooth out the highlights. Kind of magic, don't you think? Okay, everything's coming along fairly well. Adding a little highlights to his nose, the ball on his hat. I'll go back and add some above his eyebrows and also on his little cheeks to give them a little bit of shine, the appearance of a shine. Okay, almost done. Now I'm going back and adding a little more of this green shading to my holly. I really wanted the holly and the berries to stand out as if they were 3D. So that is why when you saw me earlier, I went around a little bit of that greenery and the berries with a darker gray, just to give them shading, and that gives the illusion of them popping off of his hat a little bit. So there is my finished Santa. See, I told you if you just hang in there with me. Now he doesn't look like he's been out of the tanning booth when you add a little bit more color around his face. So I'm going to quickly fussy cut this out with my scissors. These are my little cutter bees. I love these little scissors. They stay super sharp. I've had them for years and years. They're just a perfect little set of scissors to go around all the little details here. So don't worry so much about getting in and out of all of that. Just do the best you can to cut around your image. Now, I love working on a navy blue for the backing of Santa. Don't ask me why. I just think for some reason it reminds me of the night sky. So here I have run this through my embossing machine. I've got the Snowflake Swirl and also that Griffin Diamond Floral Frame in 3D. And I'm just going to layer those on the top of my card. And then before I get this navy blue put down, I'm going to take a little bit of this red and white twine, which reminds me of candy canes. So perfect for our little Santa theme here. I'm going to loop it around 3 times. Secure the ends on the back of my card, and then I add a little liquid adhesive and get that put down on the front of my card. So all very simple to put together. Giving this a little extra knot there on the front. And I've got my snowflake swirls ready to go down. Now, I've put a little bit of foam tape on the back of my Santa face just to pop him off the front of the card a little bit more. So between the 2 embossing folders, the twine, and the Santa image, we have a little dimension going on the front of our card. Okay, to finish it off, I'm going back to that Sizzix die set I showed you before, and I chose the word believe. And I will cut that out. I ran that through my die cutting machine, and I cut that out of that blue glittery paper. Kind of reminds me of maybe snowflakes. So a simple little believe. I've got some liquid adhesive on the back, and I'm going to adhere that right over the twine there under Santa's beard. I think that looks perfect there. Fills in that little gap. Gives us our little sentiment, and there is our finished card for today. You can see I used that Anna Griffith embossing folder on the inside as well, and here is my easy peasy lined envelope, and another look at the inside of my card and envelope, and that is it for the project today. I am so glad you joined me. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. And I know we're really close to Christmas, so I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a wonderful New Year. Happy crafting, everyone!